Girl Crazy is about a New York playboy whose wealthy family sends him to Arizona to manage their ranch. But instead of tending cattle, the playboy turns the place into a dude ranch, complete with a nightclub and showgirls. Complications ensue, but when the playboy falls in love with the local mail delivery lady, everything turns out just swell. George and Ira worked separately, each in their own apartment, and the music always came first. So let's check in with George and see what he's up to. George is at his piano going through the material he and Ira have created for the show so far. They've got everything written for Act 1 except for one last song, a razzle-dazzle rhythmic number for the lead showgirl and her dancing ladies. George is thinking, I need to do something fun, something hot, something that moves, that dances, that has a really catchy rhythm. Something like the Charleston. Now, George Gershwin was a very sophisticated musician, and he knew exactly what that catchy rhythm was in the Charleston. It's called a tresillo, and it comes from Cuba. A tresillo is an African 3-against-2 rhythm that got squared off when it was incorporated into Spanish colonial dancing in Havana. It's the basis of the habanera, the rumba, and the cha-cha. The tresillo came to New York via New Orleans, but it was Harlem composer James P. Johnson who turned the tresillo into a craze when he used it in the melody of his infamous Charleston. And the tresillo is the fourth element of I Got Rhythm, I Want You to Remember. So George is fooling around with the black keys on the piano. And at first, he just tries them as a straight tresillo. Then he tries it again, Charleston style. It's a good start, but it needs to move a little bit more. So instead of repeating notes, he just goes up and down through the notes. Now that's getting better, but it's still a little bit too much like the Charleston. So George is thinking, what can I do that would make it different, that would make it unique, still keep it snappy, but... And then a light bulb goes off. In the Charleston, the third note of the tresillo is felt instead of played, like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So George is thinking, what if I just move a couple of the felt notes to a different place, like from third place to the beginning? Then you'd have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's more like it. Yeah, but he can't just keep going up and down and up and down. He's got to make a phrase out of it, put an ending to it somehow. So he just starts to improvise. Ya da da bum, yidle deedle diddle deedle diddle dum. Yidle deedle diddle deedle diddle dum. Cha 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 a Yiddish cha. Why not? Start with a Cuban tresillo up, down, up again, and then a Yiddish ending. Yidle deedle diddle deedle diddle dum. Here's George to play it for you. That was George's A phrase. For his B, he reaches back to his ragtime days and drops in a harmonic sequence that was so common at the time it was called the Sears-Roebuck progression. 4 chords, each 5 notes down from the one before. But to kick it up a notch, George then adds a flatted 7th to each chord, making all of them blues chords. A combo ragtime blues progression which he now lays in underneath his tresillo. Here's George with this part. George now takes his 2 phrases and lines them up in the pop song formula of the day. 8 bars of A, which repeats, then 8 bars of B, followed by one last 8 of A. A, B, A, in a standard 32-bar refrain. And if you look inside those 32 bars, you'll see that all 4 of the elements we've been talking about, the tresillo, the umcha, ragtime, and the blues, are there. A world of music synthesized through the life and artistry of one man, seated at his piano in a penthouse atop 33 Riverside Drive. Here's George with the whole thing.